Welcome to the Author's Porch, where every good conversation happens. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride from author to author. We want to give you an experience where you learn and enjoy the conversation. Authors tell you about their journey, you learn about new books, and at the end of the day, you go home with a smile on your face because the Author's Porch is a beacon of light, bringing you home to the family you never knew you had. We hope that you enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Author's Porch, where every great conversation happens. We're excited to have Yessoh GD on the porch today. How are you doing, Yessoh?
I'm very good, CJ. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here and thanks for bearing with me as I get myself together tonight and be able to have this platform and have you on it. I was reading your bio and all the technical expertise you have. I'm like, I hope he doesn't realize that I basically don't know what I'm doing most of the time when it comes to tech. So, so you're coming from Canada to us from Canada, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Vancouver.
Okay. Are you guys having spring yet, or are you still having the cold?
Well, the cold was there not long ago, but I think it's going away
Okay.
for now. I think it's fine. Yes.
Okay, so I watch the news quite often. I'm a news junkie, and all I see are these massive storms hitting everywhere. I'm in Texas, so I'm not dealing with it. But are you guys, obviously, I don't hear about Canadian news, but are you guys getting all the crazy storms that we're getting down here?
I think some part of Canada are getting it, but where I am in Vancouver, in the region of around Vancouver, I think it's fine. It's okay.
Okay.
But
Oh,
there are
okay.
more severe area where it gets crazy, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're safe because I can't imagine some of the places that I hear just the craziness that's going on. I'm enjoying my time in Texas, let's just say. And I'm glad you're enjoying your time in Vancouver. So thanks for coming and speaking with us all the way from Canada. I'm going to give the people a little bit of what I know about you from the research that I did, the limited research that I did, because obviously the limited tech knowledge that I have is also the limited research knowledge that I have, but I do try. So, guys, Yessoh is originally from the Ivory Coast. He is a visual effects artist that has worked on many notable projects, one being Netflix Lost in Space. He's also a world traveler. As I said, born in the Ivory Coast, he's coming to us from Canada. He studied telecommunications in Morocco and then moved to India, where he lived for 6 years. He transitioned and studied computer generated imagery. He specialized in 3D animation and visual effects, and he has worked on many television shows, commercials, including things for Disney, Netflix, and Apple TV. That is quite a resume, Yessoh. And I'm telling you, I did 3D animation one time using my, what is it called? The Adobe Cloud suite that I had, and I made a little person, and I made her wave, and I made her use her lips to move, just up and down, not like in a, she didn't look like she was speaking. I did it one time, and I said, I will never do that again. That's very hard.
It takes well, it really takes time, especially animation. Yes, it does take time too. But sometimes it is enjoying. You didn't enjoy at all? Or you
I
didn't?
enjoyed it thoroughly. I will tell you, I was so engrossed that there was nights that I forgot not how, but I forgot to eat because it literally, you are very engrossed with it. And but based on your calm demeanor, I can appreciate that you have to have a lot of patience.
A lot of patience to be able to do that. That's correct.
Yes, and so you did all of that, and now an accomplished author.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Thank you
what
very
else
much.
I'm thinking, is there anything else are you gonna pull out of the hat and do? So, but we're here to talk about your new book. Can you tell us the title of your new book so I don't fudge that name like I almost did your name?
The book is called Tale, and book
Okay.
one, knowledge. Tale, that's correct.
And the book is what I was reading. It's it's based on the African continent. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you
The
tell us a
African
little bit more?
continent. Yes, it's based on the African continent, the African culture, and it follows the story of two young men, basically, who were thrown into the mystical side of the African continent that will challenge and question everything they know about life and the world. And these two young men will have to navigate with their weight sometimes with the help of others to be able to achieve their goal. So Tale basically speaks of the world. It speaks of the African culture, the thought process, the philosophy, and it explores a side of the African continent that's barely approachable, questionable, or maybe far from mental grasp.
Mm,
In a way, it's an introduction to the fantastical yet broad and varied culture of the African continent.
okay. Very interesting. And when you were writing the book, did you pull on your experience growing up over on the Ivory Coast?
I did. But my growing up in Ivory Coast with my parents were it was a bit different.
Mhm,
I was exposed from early age to a lot of African art, African mask, African texture and pattern. So I was already thrown into that world where my mind was blinding up, dreaming about few
mhm,
stories as a child would if when he's exposed to few things. And from there he went downhill because I was building stories, but I was very small at that time, so it was a ridiculous story, I would say. But as I grew up, um, compelled, if I would say, or um, pushed to try and write about the African story, the African culture, and
yeah.
even if it's a fantastical world, at least speak about the African people in a way.
There's not a lot of books in literature that share the African culture in in a very diverse way, so to speak. You always get one version. And it's the version that you see on television. It's what everyone thinks they know about the African culture versus a rich diversity of so many. I mean, if you go to Nigeria, if you go to the Ivory Coast, if you go to South Africa, every place it's so vastly different. So what can you tell us is to you one of the most fantastic things about the culture that in your book that you want to bring across to share with everyone?
Fantastical. I, I don't think I'll be able to say if I found anything fantastical. My grow up was, as I said before, it was a bit different because I grew up in the cities. So
Mm,
there weren't much mysticism there.
okay.
But what I'll say is every time my mom had a chance, she would bring us to a village. And there
Mm,
sometimes there were festivals. And you get to see people do incredible things at those festivals. Or just sometimes you just find yourself fascinated observing someone else uh, at 6 o'clock in the morning doing his or her rituals.
yeah.
Now, these rituals, they have been in the African culture for thousands of years. They are ingrained into the African culture. But as you grow up, you can help but wonder how did this come to be and why? Because usually humans do a certain things or act a certain way based on the history. So what
Mhm.
was the history behind this ritual? I was just curious. And then I grew up, and you grow up, you start to notice that these rituals are not only happening in your village, they're not only even happening in your city or country, they're happening everywhere on the African continent. And it
Mhm.
says a lot about the African people in general. What you think is very secluded, very secular to one person or one country is not that. It's everyone on the African continent, and they do practically the same kind of ritual, and it's incredible. It was incredible to me when I found out.
Yeah.
The
And do you go back often to visit, or do you not have the opportunity? I know travel is a bit different nowadays than it used to be. I used to travel a lot. I've been to a lot of places. Africa is not one of them, unfortunately, but I've been to Europe. I've been to the Middle East. I've been not to Canada either, unfortunately, even though I'm connected. But do you get a chance to go back and experience that anymore?
I haven't, to be honest, I haven't had a chance to to visit for a long time.
Mm,
The last time I went there was before COVID.
yeah,
I went to visit my family, my parents, but I do plan to find some time and go back and explore my route and everything around my route. It will be possible for me to do that. Yes, I do plan to
yeah.
do
Yeah, the world has changed after COVID
that after
and the
COVID.
way we can or can't travel, and it's a shame because there is such a beautiful world out there to go and visit. So I pray that you do get to go back and explore even more because you're going to find even more beautiful things to write about that is going to capture your mind. You're going to see something that's just going to capture you. So you say this is book one in the Tale series. Do you know already how many books you're going to write, or are you going to allow the process to take you?
No, actually, it that was one of my well, I'll say my problem or my issue with the book because I couldn't write unless I had everything planned out. So I know exactly how many books are going to be there. And it's four books that are in the process. So I had to make sure that I was able to finish the story before I start writing the first part of the book. And it took a little bit of time, but I think we're getting there.
How long did it take you to write book one?
On and off, and with the process of of combining all the story from book one to book four, it took. I started in 2009, 2010. So 2010 was where I started writing
Mhm.
properly the, the first book, and then on and off until I made sure that everything was correct. I think about 2 years ago, I finished completely with um, the correction and the design of the book and everything.
And do you think that now that you have book one out there and it's where you want it to be, do you think the other books are gonna take you as long to write, or do you already know it's easier now, you know where you want it to be?
No, it's easier because I know where I want to be. But usually for me, it depends on exactly how detailed and how complete I want the work to be. So sometimes, especially for me, it might take time. It won't take as long as the first one, but it
Mhm.
will certainly take time because I want to make sure that every each of the coming books are as good or even or
Yes.
better than the first
Yeah.
one.
I know a lot of books or even movies, because you work in the movie industry as well. They say nothing's as good as the first one, right? But there's been others, whereas I've watched, like the Harry Potter series. That's one of the successful book to movies that we all know of. It just got better each time, right? Book and movie. And so I definitely understand you want to build upon, you wanna have great, but you just wanna get better and better and better to build upon an amazing foundation that you've already created. So I definitely get that. I get chills when I think about that because when you're writing a book series, you just it becomes your world. You've created this whole new world, like a mother giving birth to a child. I have 2, even a man can give birth to a child in your book, right?
No, no, that you're correct, and I won't say it's a fear, but it's definitely a challenge for me because the first book has received so many awards and so many accolades from different people that you think as a writer, whatever comes next has to be at least as good. Otherwise, whatever the reader are expecting won't be. I want to make sure, yes, the story is there, but I really want to make sure that when they start the book too, they know that they're in that world again. They can lose themselves in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So your main characters, can you tell us about some of your main characters in the book?
We have yes, the book has many characters. Two of them are Cobenant uh, and Kwadjo Joel. Cobenant Jean-Marc and Kwadjo Joel. And these are the two main protagonists of the book. And basically, the book is following their story until they collide. And you have Cobenant Jean-Marc, who is a gifted man who has been hired by the government at a very young age. That's how gifted he was because they usually don't hire people that young. And he was very young when he went to. And he was hired to work on the mystical side, the side that is not usually seen by other people. So
Mm.
he solves cases in the he solves cases in the house of the government, and and that helps get recognized by the president and all the higher up in the government. So basically, what happens with this young man is instead of being only analyzing documents at the governmental house, he's being brought into the field, and that's where his world is going to completely change because few things that
Mm.
he didn't know before, he's going to know that and very viscerally. So that's Kobina Jean-Marc. Now, Kwadjo Joel is the other character who has been from childhood. He has been seeing creatures that
Oh.
people don't see usually, and he has been hiding it. But at some point in his life, this is going to have to confront it. And when he confronts that fear that he had and and showing to the creature that he sees that he can see them, everything
Mm.
changes also for him. And you basically as a reader, you follow these two stories and see exactly where they are going and how the life of these two young men impacts everyone um, around
Wow.
in their world. Yes.
Wow. That's so they're both mystics, and they both have these outstanding incredible abilities. Wow.
Exactly. They both have this incredible abilities. They don't know each other,
Uh-huh.
and they barely meet, but these are two stories that the reader we understand and see the difference between both of them and why they collide at some point.
Oh man, that collision's got me wondering, like, what's gonna happen? Don't tell us because they all need to read to find out. But but it makes me wonder, like that's the collision that. Okay, yeah, my mind's. Oops, sorry, I hit my microphone. But my mind's already going in places like, what could they be doing? I love reading. I have so many books. I have a big stack over here, and I've got on my Kindle, I've got a million and one. I'm always downloading, going, oh, I'm so excited. And I'm reading about five or six at the same time. I just can't help myself. I get so excited about books. I think a lot of people do. And that's why I do the author's porch, because authors have these fantastic minds that come up with these beautiful stories that take you to places that you can either escape to or connect with, because some people connect in different ways that they can't connect with the human world, for lack of better words. And I love how authors can do that. And when you with these characters, are they modeled after anyone or experiences that you've had within your life? Or are they just characters that talk to you and say, "Hey, listen, I've got a story. Write me. Listen, write this down."
No, not necessarily. They are fully made up, but though the the entire story is very fantastical and made up, I want it to be as grounded as possible and based
Yeah.
on some facts on the African continent. So as the readers is understanding and following these journeys, at the same time the reader will be we get more and more familiar with the African culture because there are
Mhm.
few things that maybe that person didn't know that will be available to him in the book. And it was one of my main goals. Whoever reads the book, we start to learn a little bit about the African people and the African culture.
Mhm.
At the same time, enjoying a story that is fantastic.
Now, is this something that could be turned into a script and we can see possibly one day in the movies or TV show?
Um, that would be interesting. But to be honest, I don't know if I'll say I don't want to think about that, or my mind is not there yet. I want to be able to finish, or I want to finish this four book first,
Yeah.
and then if he has to go to a movie or a TV show, then maybe I can start thinking about that and
Yeah.
writing a
And
script for it.
yeah, for sure, because if you look at the TV and movie industry, sure, there is representation of people of color, but is there representation about the African culture itself? There's not a lot, right? So I just think it would the story premise, the sorcery, the mysticism, the characters that you've written, and the background that you have, and the authenticity. It just there's stars align at certain places, and it just sounds very, very interesting. So what is the next big project that you're working on? Is it book 2, or do you have something else in store for us?
No, it's the next project is book two. I have
Okay.
received too many emails to ask asking about book two, so I had to yes, let's start jumping on it. But yes, the next one is book two, and I don't know when it will be out yet, but I think it's going in the right direction.
Okay. Well, make sure those fans get what they want, because they can get kind of ruly after a while, right?
Okay, okay,
But they have to wait.
and they ask you straight, what is book two?
Yeah, for sure. Now, do you still work full time in the movie and TV show industry doing your computer generation and visual effects stuff while you're writing?
I do, yes, I do.
Okay.
I do work full time.
So I presume that
Yes.
takes up a lot of your time. So everybody, while you're watching this, please know that Yessoh GD has to work. So give him some time to get the next book out. Patience is a virtue. Go and reread the first book while you're waiting for the second one to come out.
Thank you for saying that because it was one of the goal actually, writing the book one to allow readers to dive in one more time or two or three times because the more you read, the more there are few things that you're going to notice, especially the art in the book. You start to understand exactly what they mean.
Yeah.
I wrote in such a way that you won't be able to understand when you see the art for the first time. But the second time you'll see exactly who
Mm.
you're looking at. So it might be an occasion to read a second or third time. Why not?
Yes, some of my favorite books. I think one of my favorite book of all time, my adult favorite book, is Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl. And I've been to her house in Amsterdam, and it was life changing. I read it at least once a year. My favorite children's book is Charlotte's Web, and I've read that numerous times. So you have to sometimes read books that touch you, that move you, that have so much oomph, for lack of better words, just that stuff in it. You have to read them more than once. So where
That's
can
correct.
people go and grab a copy of your book or read more about you, learn more about what you do and the stories behind what some of your greatest works?
They can go to my website, which is or the book website. I think I should call it. Vitale Series, vitaleseries.com. It's basically written taleseries.com.
Okay.
The book is available there. We have a chance also to see the contest that is available. And the book is also available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all the major retailers.
Okay. Awesome. So that's www.taleseries.com, correct?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
So everyone that's listening to the podcast, you guys rewind a little bit, write that website down and go and grab you a copy. I've been to the website. It's a beautiful website, and you want to check it out and go grab you a copy of the book. When you click buy me, it's going to take you right to the website because I know I pressed that buy me button because I wanted to check it out and see everything that I could. So make sure you grab a copy. So is there anything that we didn't discuss you want to make sure that we talk about before we head out? Do you have any socials that you want people to follow you on so they can follow your progress as you write book two? Or you're not a big social person? A lot of people aren't. I'm on there because obviously I talk a lot. Sorry, I may have talked too much. You may not have gotten out everything you wanted to, but if there's anything you want to talk about that we didn't get to, let's do it.
No, I think it was great. It was a great conversation. Yes, you're right. I'm not a what's the name?
Social media.
social
Yeah.
media person, but I have open Instagram and Twitter, but I think Instagram is the one that is more um, active. So my Instagram is YessohGD.
Mhm.
Um, I do reply to the question that I receive, and then, yes, if they want to contact me, they can contact me on Instagram or they can send me an email, yessohgd@gmail.com.
Okay.
And in
On
both
Insta
cases,
on Instagram, is it just YESSOHGD? Is that just your handle? There's no underscores or any numbers or anything?
no, just
Okay.
yessohgd, and they should be able to find me.
Okay. So go and follow him over on Instagram and just follow his content, like it, send comments and stuff. But just know if you're sending messages, it's take time away from the book writing folks. So you want to get that second book out there. Just saying. So keep the conversation short unless it's really important. But if you want to book him for a show or any of that other promotional stuff, go ahead, send those messages. So so you're so sorry about that. I've had a great time talking to you, learning about Tale, learning about all the wonderful things that you do in your professional life as a visual effects artist and 3D animator. Thanks for coming on the show, sharing your love for the African culture, for your background, for all the things that you're trying to put out there into the literature world that is so needed because the representation it's there, but it needs to be more there. There needs to be so many more books like yours, like yourself. The voices need to be out there. So thank you so much. And make sure when book two comes out, your publicist comes and talks to me again because I really
Of
enjoyed having you.
course.
We want to make sure that we're telling people when it comes out because whenever you get done with the series, I want to see it on TV as well. So
Thank you. Thank you very much for the message. It was a great
awesome.
conversation.
Thank you. Well, guys, make sure you come back and see us every week here, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Unless one of my dogs are barking too much, I have a appointment or I'm just really sleepy. You know those type of things that happen because I'm human. Also, go over to our website, check out. We're having blog interviews, sometimes 2 times a day at least we the authors that are so busy because they can't come on here or they're flying around the world. Yessoh, whenever he gets so busy and he gets back to traveling, he won't be able to come on and talk to us, but he could do a blog interview. Our magazine, the next issue is coming out on the 1st of April. So go over and check all those things out because we support our authors and we want to make sure that we get their words out there, we get their books out there, and then we're always getting the word out there of these wonderful pieces of art, you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Bye, Yessoh.
Bye bye. Thank you.